Hello everybody, I am Brian Mullins the Fox. I'm going to go off on a rant about how to apply logic to statistics, or rather, the lack of stats. When you think of lack of statistics, you can come up with a lot of reasons why. Number one, a hiccup on the statistician's end. A fluke or a coincidence that can't be factored in or can't be a trend or a pattern because sooner or later enough, that fluke or coincidence will soon disappear. Number two, the null hypothesis has a much higher prior probability than anything that statisticians can come up with. 3. Misleading estimates with no methodology. 4. Answers or numbers that don't make any kind of sense at all. Number 5. Surveys based on ambiguous questions and results. Acquiescence bias and confirmation bias as examples of what the word ambiguous means in this context. 6. Statisticians openly lied about the statistics by either over-extrapolating it all and jumping to a predetermined conclusion based on whatever tradition they believe takes place every year, much less every Christmas for this example, Christmas dinner during the roast game era, or artificially inflating numbers by using numbers picked up from other countries or states to try and come up with the national average estimate, or not even using your own statistics at all, which is very shitty. Every statistician that does that should be fired for that. Misleading bullshit practice. If you're gonna be a hypocrite, practice what you fucking preach, motherfuckers. And finally, number 7. It's not always an X equals Y equation when it comes to answering a question or getting statistics out of answering the question or whatever they consume, waste, produce, or destroy, etc. There's a lot of things that go into it. Like the previous example I've mentioned, Christmas dinner during the roast game era. It can't just be an X equals Y equation. There's food waste. There's prices going up and down. There's families lying about what they ate as the centerpiece of Christmas dinner, and families literally eating their own children's cut-off ass as their Christmas roast after slaughtering them for not believing in Christmas. And, or them not being interested in ham or turkey anymore because they wanted or preferred something tastier and seemingly more innocent alongside with it. You have to use logic and statistics. You have to learn the way these statisticians or people think and use their own logic or standards of statistics to debunk their way of thinking, not the other way around. You don't use the way they think to debunk their logic, only to then learn how and what they think afterwards. That's not how logic works at all. You have to learn the way they think first, and then use their own logic to debunk their way of thinking, or their way of collecting statistics and promoting it to mainstream media outlets and anchors that will no doubt mislead the public, making them feel stupider and more gullible as time goes on. Logic in statistics is important, and without it, people are just gonna make numbers up with no methodology, going with what family members or what people say as absolute fact immediately to try and debunk somebody's statement or claim by going, "So there's proof against your claim, retard." That's not how it works. That's never how it's ever going to work. Because if it doesn't work afterwards, what are you going to use to document anything if not for statistics? I'm sorry, this is just a bit of an offhanded rant, off the cuff, off script. But you see where I'm getting at? You see the hypocrisy of some statisticians or people who are so lackadaisy that they don't even fully acknowledge the lack of self-awareness, or better yet, the irony of using a single URL link as confirmation of a quote-unquote tradition. It just makes you look like a fucking hypocrite by using your own confirmation bias whilst falsely accusing your debate opponent of having the burden of proof. Once he fulfilled his burden of proof, you don't have to listen to him. You could just link a URL to just shoot yourself in the foot, and it'll always be the debacle that ends all debacles. After that precise moment, it'll just become an argument about whether or not I've attacked the character or insulted the person to the point where I've disrespected him or her, and anybody else who's watching the whole thing go down, or the opponent in question, will just forget the fucking argument that we're having in the first place. Because that's what a debacle is. It is inconsistent. It is not a debate where there's moderators, where there's time limits, and where there's people gaining control of the conversation civilly. The problem with statisticians is that a decision is not based solely on studies, metrics, hard data, statistics. It's based on qualitative factors. That is why the McNamara fallacy exists. When a decision is based solely on quantitative observations, i.e., metrics, hard data, statistics, and all qualitative factors are ignored. For example, Christmas dinner during the roast game era, it's when a decision that a family member or mother or father figure buys a turkey, buys food, buys Christmas presents, buys everything. And all those decisions are based on observations, metrics, hard data, and statistics alone. But all qualitative factors and other factors are ignored, such as turkey food waste, ham food waste, just wasting it and not even consuming it at all. A certain Christmas present or two being not exactly what the child wanted or needed or deserved or earned. And all statisticians' goals just go to shit. And in their eyes, the fucking world blows up. And the McNamara fallacy's direction isn't reversed. It doesn't go backwards. It goes forwards. It concerns future planning, not what they've done in the past. So don't misuse the McNamara fallacy and then falsely accuse your opponent of committing the fallacy when you've just done that yourself by doing so. Because at that point, there would be no debate. There'd be no argument. There'd be nothing to continue the conversation or debate, and it just dies. It just ends that way in other people's eyes. But with all that set aside, that's why logic and statistics is important. It's not a libertarian or anarcho-Capistani pipe dream where everybody's decisions are based on stats, facts, metrics, hard data, without taking into account qualitative factors that can put all of that, if not just some of them, in jeopardy. That's why statistics aren't concerned about consistency. The people are. I'm Brian Mullins, the Fox, signing out.